would you, before you mention any other songs, would you just mention just how did that, you know, impact you? Your brother passing, what emotions did you feel? What was your mind space at that time? Because in general as a culture, we don't talk about grief or how we go through it. What helped you go through it?
Okay, I can't say I fully get over it. This is the first time I am losing someone who is very close to me. Uh, so far, of course, I've lost the people like uncles, grandfather, grandmother. With their age, you feel like, yeah, it's okay. My grandfather from mom's, I think he passed on at 120 years of age. Actually, they were approximating he was 120. He had none of his age mates or his people, so they just had to estimate how old he was. My grandfather from dad's side, I think he was 80 something, 89, almost 90, and such stuff. But from now, the nucleus family, this is the first person that we are losing. He's my elder brother. I follow him. And it really changed how I perceive life. Um,
How so?
I will just say, when I started following Grant Cardone, at some point he said that he lost um, during the financial meltdown, I think 2008, he lost money. And one of his reasons to come back and say he wants to make a lot of money, it's like, I want to make a lot of money such that even if I lose some money, I don't feel that bad because that is not the only money that I had. And at some point, my brother was, of course, he was in ICU for about 2 weeks before, and I felt very helpless in terms of there's nothing I can really do. And I just felt like, of course, it was not an issue of how much money that you had, but seeing him that helpless, feeling yourself also very helpless. When someone is down or they are broke or there's something you can do about it, you can give them something, or you can, maybe someone is hungry, you can give them food. But this is a situation where you can't really do anything. You just wait and watch. And I feel like I really need to do a lot to myself such that I don't get myself to that point where I'm that helpless. Of course, in terms of finances, in terms of health, in terms of relationships, I don't want to see my relationship, for example, with my wife, it gets to a point where I can't do anything about it. Maybe things have just gone bad. In terms of my health, in terms of also business, that things have gone very bad to a point where I can't do anything about it. I really didn't like that situation, and that is one of the areas that I try to focus on. How much can I do right now that I have the ability? Of course, a lot of questions in terms of your faith and belief, in terms of God. Um, how then do you allow this to happen? Of course, there is a lot of, I must say, sorry to say this, there are some things that don't make sense. I remember when I was just breaking maybe the news to some of my friends, colleagues, and someone says, "Don't worry, God is still in control." I'll tell you the truth, that statement doesn't make any sense. If he's in control, why is he dead? Someone tells you, "Don't worry, God is still on the throne." And of course, you ask yourself, what is he doing on the throne when my brother is dying? I think this person is saying it from a good point of view. They want to be supportive, to be empathetic. But I now even reflect onto myself, what is it that I say sometimes when people have difficult situation? What are some of the things that I say? Um, yeah, I also know there's the aspect that God's will always prevail. And I ask myself then, why do we need to pray? Why do we need to do some things? At the end of it all, God's will prevail. Of course, we are praying for him to be healed, to come back, but God's will was he was to die. Then why didn't he just tell us in advance so that we don't waste our time, energy, effort praying? All these things coming in, faith. But of course, yeah, I have accepted the idea of, yeah, him passing on and we need to move on. He left a very young family. They used to stay in Rwanda. The wife is there with the children. It's not that close proximity to keep on checking up on them and ensuring things are okay. Different challenges in life, but we still face them.
Wow, thank you for sharing.
Karibu sana.
And wow, and I think that's something that I want to explore, because I notice a lot of us don't know how to behave, react, feel, respond in such a situation during loss. And in fact, it's funny you mentioned that, because when I was at school, I was in the Peer and Educators Counseling Club, and we shared from different books and about different psychological subjects. And one session, we actually spoke about grief. Sorry. And we shared how people who are religious make the worst mistake. There are things not to say, even though the intention is to provide comfort. At that time, the person who's on the receiving end does not feel that comfort because of the words. So it showed us that during that session, instead we should ask, how can I assist you? And sometimes, even though you don't respond, just show up, maybe whether it's groceries or you see they need something, show up and just participate, because a person is not mentally and fully emotionally their regular selves. They need support, but they don't know how to ask for it. And just be there. Some of the tips I remember we discussed. But that's something I know is a challenge for our emotional and mental well-being, and it's something I guess we'll keep on trying to seek how to navigate that.
Right.